Buddy. Well, it's good to see you today. If you don't know who I am, my name is Dan. My title is Senior Administration Pastor, kind of oversee some kid stuff and the worship team in South and some of that good stuff like that. But I got a question for you. Have you ever had the opportunity to do something and you didn't do it? You could have helped somebody, but you said, maybe somebody else will take that on and I won't have to deal with it. Or you might see a need and you thought, I'm not going to do that today. Have anybody felt that way? Maybe you saw a big pile of dishes in the sink and you think, well, man, I should have probably put those in the dishwasher before I left, but I'll just have Mom do it when she gets home. Well, I've been in those situations many, many times. And back when I was in high school, which had been the year had been about 1977 to 78, which I know for you guys, you're thinking, wow, that was when George Washington was here, but it was after that. But I graduated in 1980, and so it was a long time ago. But back then, we didn't have these high-speed copiers we have now. Our teacher would pick somebody out of the room and say, can you go to the office? And they either used a mimeograph machine to produce that stuff. And it would always stink like alcohol and stuff, and we wanted to be helpful to our teacher. So the teacher would say, hey, this particular time, Danny, can you go down to the office and get these copies made before the end of the hour's up? And I said yes, and went down there. And right next to the office was the teacher's lounge. And the teachers would go in there, do their work between hours. And back then, I don't know what it is now, but back then they allowed the teachers to smoke in the teacher's lounge. So every time you whip open that door, there would just be this big puff of smoke that would come out in the hallway. But I got my copies, and I went out in the hallway, and as soon as I walked out the door, just about 10, 15 feet down was the teacher's lounge door, and out came Mrs. Turner. Mrs. Turner was our music teacher, and her husband was our physics teacher. And she was wearing a red blazer with a red skirt and high heels. And she came out, turned right in front of me, and was walking to her class. And I said, hey, Mrs. Turner. And she said, hello, Danny. And as she walked by, I noticed there was about a 10-foot piece of toilet paper hanging out her skirt. And it was dragging along the floor. Now, I'm thinking, do I say anything to her? What do? I was a shy kid at the time. So I thought, well, I got to do something because I know pretty soon all the kids will be out in the hallway, and I didn't want her to feel embarrassed, and I didn't want to say anything because I know that would embarrass her and embarrass me as well. So what I did, I snuck down the hallway, and I started to step on it, and it would break about 1.5 feet at a time. And finally, the last step I took, it broke enough to where the rest of it was inside her jacket. But have you ever had that moment where you're thinking, should I really help? Should I really do something? Well, Jesus tells a story to a guy that was wondering what he should do. And so we're in the book of Luke chapter 10, and this is kind of how it starts. It says, one day an expert in religious law stood up to test Jesus. They always thought they could trip Jesus up by asking him this question, Teacher, what should I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus replied, what does the law of Moses say, and how do you read it? The man answered, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart and your soul and your strength and your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus said, right, do this and you will live. The man wanted to justify his actions and trick Jesus again, so he asked Jesus this question, who is my neighbor? And so then Jesus replies with this story. And the story was the Good Samaritan. Now, we have heard this story many, many times. One of the first stories you probably ever heard if you came to Kids World, we teach this down in Adventure Avenue. And so I'm not going to read that whole scripture. I'd like for you to go home and you can read it, Luke chapter 10, verses 25 through 37. But Jesus tells a story about a Jewish man that had to travel about 13 to 16 miles, kind of a steep grade down to where he was going, and he got attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, all his wealth, beat him up, and threw him along the side of the road. And Jesus said, here's what happened. Now, I'm going to put in modern day terms, okay? But it said, first of all, a priest went by. So just imagine Mark Hoover. He's the lead pastor of our church. Mark Hoover walks by, the preacher of the church, and it says he walks on the other side and says, hey, I don't want to even get involved. And he just kept on going. And then the next person was a Levite or a temple assistant almost. And so let's just say it was Brian O'Neill. the youth pastor. He comes, and now it says he walks by and looks at him, but he keeps going. Then third was the Samaritan. Now, the Samaritans were not looked upon very well in that society. Jewish people did not like Samaritans. They were the bottom of the rung of people. In fact, they would pray, "Thank God I'm not a Samaritan." So they were looked upon as somebody that doesn't do any good, and it's really just, we don't know why they're even around. But Jesus said the Samaritan came upon the man, looked at him, and had compassion on him. And so compassion is simply seeing a need and fulfilling it. That's what compassion is. And so that's what Jesus wants us to do. So now we jump into the lesson. There's three things I want to discuss with you, and then you're going to go to your small groups. The guy was asking, who's my neighbor? So in your life, who do you think is your neighbor? And it could be anybody. It could be your parent, it could be somebody you work at school, but who is along the side of the road that you need to be paying attention to? Because see, the Samaritan took that man, he stops, he acts, and he cares. He bandaged his wound, he put oil and wine, that was kind of like, antibacterial stuff, puts him on his own animal, takes him to an inn, pays the innkeeper to continue his care, and promises to follow up. And so Jesus asked this guy that was testing him, who did the right thing? Who showed mercy? And he said, the Samaritan showed mercy. And he said, go and do likewise. And so Jesus is trying to get us that it doesn't matter what our titles or positions or feelings or even attention. It's about action. It's about compassion. Now, it is hard sometimes because we get busy in life. And, Austin, I love Austin. He's our worship pastor. And he'll tell me things like this. Hey, Dan, I went by the hospital, saw this person that's in the choir. I went and delivered soup over to this person, because they're going through it. And you know what I say to Austin sometimes? Boys, pay attention. I'll say, Austin, I meant to do that. I meant to call that guy and encourage him. I meant to call that family and told them I was sorry that they lost a loved one. I meant to do that. But compassion is seeing something, and it motivates your heart to do something. When I was in high school, this was back when I was in Colorado. I moved my freshman year to Nebraska, and that's where I graduated from. But I'm not very good in math at all. And I had a study hall right before a particular hour, and my math class was right across the hallway. It was just a short little trip. But where I went to school, and back in the day, if you didn't get a C- or better on your test or on your grade in your class, you didn't play sports. Now, I'm not saying at the end of the semester looking forward or anything like that. It was a weekly thing. And so that day I was a varsity football kicker. I kicked field goals and kicked off and played right tackle. And it was Friday, and I knew I had a test. And if I didn't get a C- on that test, I would not play football that night. That's how strict it was. And so if you don't have it that strict today, you can thank your lucky stars that you don't have it that way. But it always made all the football team very nervous. Am I going to be able to play tonight? And so I knew in study hall I was studying my math, and I knew I would have 10 minutes. There was 10 minutes in between classes because the school was so big. And so I knew I could just shoot right across the hallway, open my book, and study like crazy because the math teacher was also the assistant football coach, and he didn't do us any favors. I mean, he was tough as nails. And he only usually had 10 questions or 10 problems for math. And then he always had an extra credit question that he put at the bottom. And so I thought, I'm going to run over there and finish up so I can get this done. As I'm leaving the library to walk right across the hallway, this kid who I never met in my entire life, we had a big school, he was carrying this huge binder of like every paper he ever received in school. And no one pushed him, no one knocked it out of his hand. But this notebook just shot down the hallway, probably from here to those stairs, and papers and everything went everywhere. His lunch card, he had a picture of his favorite football player in there, a bunch of math papers, English papers. And so I was going to just walk by. But my dad, he's a Baptist minister. My dad loved people, and he always wanted to help people. In fact, when we'd go on vacation, we had a travel trailer in our car and 7 people and a dog. And if he saw somebody on the side of the road that needed gas or a flat tire, he would stop with our trailer and our station wagon and help every time. He didn't care. He just thought, I need to have compassion on these people, and that's the way I grew up. So I stopped, helped, picked up all the papers, tried to sort them, got to him. I said, hey, are you good? And here's the notebook. And, I shot over to class. But as soon as I walked into class, I barely got my book open and the bell rang. So we took the test. And back then, the students graded the test. I don't know if you do that now, but we exchanged all papers and they would grade the test. And then for real good fun, at the end, the teacher would have each student read out the paper in front of them and announce the score of that test to everyone. So that was a blessing as well. And so they get to mine. The next door neighbor was doing mine, get to mine, and I got a C-, which I needed to play. And I thought, yes, I finally did it. Didn't know what the extra credit question, I didn't even understand. It was always a written out question, and I put one line that didn't even make sense. So the teacher would collect all those papers, and we would be done with about 10 or 15 minutes of the class, and he would just go through them to make sure the papers were correct. And all of a sudden, I hear my name. He said, Danny, can you come up here? He said, hey, they mismarked this. This question is wrong, and that makes you have a D+ and not a C-. But he said, your extra credit took care of it. So you made a C- and you can play tonight. And I said, Mr. Dixon, I know I didn't get that extra question right. He said, but yeah, I saw you out in the hallway and stopping and helping that kid and taking all that time. I knew you were rushing to my room so you could study, but you took the time to help that kid. In my book, that's extra credit. You play tonight. See, someone's always watching. When you do good, and even when you do bad, someone is always watching. God is always watching everything you do. There's people that will watch what you do. And if you do good things and point people to Jesus, they will notice that. So here's the 3 things that I think we learn from today's story. First of all, to say yes. When you notice a need, follow Jesus' prompting in your life and be willing to help. The Samaritan didn't overthink it. He didn't ignore it. He didn't say, I hope someone else takes care of that guy. He said yes in the moment. And when we say yes to caring for others, here's the things that happen. Jesus equips us. He points us to the resources we already have. He connects us to the people who can help alongside us. And when we need to ask ourselves are these 2 things. Where is God prompting me to pay attention in life to things that people might need? And right now, who do you know that's on the side of the road that you know? And I'm sure everybody could think of somebody that they're on the side of the road right now, whether it's their feelings are being hurt at school, they need extra help, or maybe it's just opening the door for somebody. But everybody will have somebody if we pay attention. Number 2, do something. Intentions don't change lives. Action does. You don't have to fix everything. You may have just taken a step, just like the Samaritan. Maybe it's letting someone go ahead of you in line, holding the door for someone who's juggling a bunch of stuff, helping pack groceries or returning a shopping cart, staying after school or work to help someone with a task, sending a message to someone who is struggling, sitting with someone who's just alone. What small way can you show love right now? You see, one of the things I love to say is small things make big things happen. And small actions lead to big impact. You do the small things in life, you'll notice big things happening. Everybody thinks it's the big things that make big things happen. That's not true. It's the small things that allow big things to happen. You do things, the small things consistently and well, you'll see the big things happen. And it's hard sometimes because we'll kind of negate that and we'll say, oh, that doesn't really matter. I won't be a good example. I won't do this. I won't help my teacher. I won't be respectful of my parents. That's no big deal. I'll still get a good job and make lots of money. But here's the thing. Those little things that you do add up. And big things will happen when you do the little things. Our goal isn't to fix people. Our role is to help them feel seen, loved, and supported, and then let Jesus carry the rest. Trusting Jesus with the outcomes means this. We don't walk away saying, good luck, I'll pray for you, and do nothing. We take people as far as we can. We remember our role isn't to solve everything, it's to show God's love and care. So as I wrap up, here's some questions and some things I want to challenge you with. And when you go to your small groups and talk, I really like for you to have open, honest, respectful conversations about this. What Jesus wants us to do is notice the needs around us. And whether it's at home, school, play, extracurricular activities, Jesus wants us to notice those needs around us. And then number 2, take action out of love. Number 3, trust him with the results. If we all start living like the Samaritan guy and not walk by, there will be major impact with what you guys do right here. Even the effect you guys could have in what you do in Adventure Avenue, Miss Carla is constantly telling me, wow, if it wasn't for those wire students coming down and helping in Adventure Avenue, I don't know if we could pull off the weekend. I mean, we just had a full house at 9:15, and it takes every volunteer to make that happen. So here's some questions right now that you will, as you go to small groups. There's 4 of them. First one, who in your life might be by the side of the road right now? Who's in your life that you say, oh, they're sitting on the side of the road, and I need to pay attention to them? Could be your mom, could be your dad, brother, sister, could be somebody at school, your teacher, your janitor, your cheerleading coach, your teammate. And this is so important. If you guys would ever just be available for Jesus' prompting in your life, where is Jesus prompting you to say yes? Where is he wanting you to say yes to somebody? Because if you have that heart towards people and say, Jesus, will you bring someone into my life that I can help and encourage? He will always do that. He will never leave you stranded that way. And here's another one. What small step can you do this week? What small step can you do this week? I mean, it kills me. And I'm not just picking on you guys. I don't know how many people have phones and how many of you don't. I know y'all want one. And it's a blessing, and of course, truly it is, because you never take a break. You always have everybody can communicate with you at any time, and there's some times where you just want peace and quiet and you don't want to be reminded of 15 things on your calendar. But even for adults, when I walk through the hallways, you hardly ever see me unless it's emergency and I have to send a text, hey, we're starting late or we're changing this or whatever. I keep my phone in my pocket because I never want to walk through the hallways like this. Welcome to New Spring Church. We're sure glad you're here. Hope you have a good time. I try to keep my eyes up. And on the way here, I passed about 20 people. Hey, welcome New Spring Church. I'm so glad you're here. Do you have any questions? Welcome New Spring Church. Good morning to you. It's cold outside, isn't it? I hope you have a great day. Oh, what type of coffee are you drinking today? Oh, that's one of my favorites. People want to be engaged, but even adults are walking with their phone out in front of them like a big pacifier, and we're not paying attention. We don't have our eyes up and looking where I can help. I just helped a lady who was walking down Adventure Avenue. She's coming in with a carriage and 2 kids. Trying to carry 2 kids this way, and she had a baby strapped to her. Hey, can I carry that bag for you? To be paying attention, because it's out there. It's out there. People are needing help everywhere. One of the fun things I do with my grandkids is sometimes I like go to Walmart or Sam's, and I'll just sit in the car. My wife will run in and get a few things, and we'll just sit in the car, and we're just waiting for someone to come out with 15 bags of 50-pound dog food. Hey, let's just run up to them, see if we can help them unload it. And the worst thing, you know what I hate the worst, is cases of water. I hate carrying cases of water. They're heavy, and when I go with my wife, you have to put them in the shopping cart, then you have to ring them up, put them back in the shopping cart, put them in your car, take them to your house, unload them. They're heavy. But for someone that needs help, if you can go up to them and say, hey, my name is Dan, I'm just wondering, you don't have to use Dan, you can use your own name. But hey, I'm Dan, I would love for you to just be able to help you put that water in your car. But if you keep your eyes up, you'll be surprised what God will give you opportunity. Because every time I do that, they'll say, you made my day. You made my day. And then I'll give them opportunity. They'll say, well, where do you work? Oh, I work at New Spring Church. Man, if you need a church, go to church. I'd love for you to come to my church. But I don't do it because I want credit. I do it because there's a need. And if I can just make someone take one step closer to Jesus, that's what he wants us to do. Every action has a reaction. And those little things add up. And I want to encourage you to do that. The thing as we close is Jesus said, love your neighbor. Love your neighbor through actions and not intentions. When Jesus wrapped that up, he said, go and do likewise. He didn't say go and feel likewise. He said go and do. Go and do the same thing. What I just told you, go and do likewise. And I would just like to pray for you because you can have an impact that you just don't realize you can have. You don't. As junior high kids, I remember my dad did an amazing job with me on trying to teach me, Danny, the little things in life will add up. God will bless you if you're obedient to help and see other people's needs. You'll be surprised once you get in that mode how much you will see. But God wants you to be that type of person. He wants you to be able to take care. Now, here's the thing, and I don't want to guilt anybody into anything, but here's something very important that you have to grasp, because some people will not grasp this, and then they won't even start. You need to have the attitude of do for one which you wish you could do for all. If I help a homeless person, or if I change a tire, if I want to, make hunger go away in the world, I won't be able to do it all by myself, but I can do the individual ones that I know about. If I have a family struggling in our church and they don't have enough money for groceries, I can take out my wallet and give them $40 to go buy groceries, but I can't pay for the whole world to go and get groceries. I don't have enough money. But do for one that you wish you could do for all. And that is how you go forward. And even as junior high kids, the devil sends you a lie, and this is what it is. You're just a junior high. You're a 6th grader, 7th grader, 8th grader, and you cannot make a difference anywhere. And you believe that, and then you think, well, I'll go to high school, and then I'll get my degree, then I'll go to college, and I'll get that done, and once maybe I'm 22, 23, 24, I can go and make an impact someplace. All of you can make an impact right now. You can make an impact in your family, at your school, by keeping your eyes up, and just asking God, who needs my help today? When you get up in the morning tomorrow, before you put your big hairy toe on the carpet, just say, God, who do you want me to help today? And would you bring that person to me so I know? Let me pay attention. Let me be attentive. Let me have my radar up. Whether it's my mom needs help with the dishes or cooking the meal or feeding the dog, whether it's my dad, he's stressed out at work and he just wants to have a conversation with me and I'll be respectful, or maybe it's just keeping my room clean so my mom doesn't have to bug the living fire out of me all the time, and it will make her less stress if I just do things around the house. You have the ability to make an impact. You do. It's whether you want to step out and say, God, bring the people in front of me so I can have an impact on them. Let me see these people like you see them. And that's what the Samaritan did. He saw that person like Jesus would see him. Hurting, down and out, needed something. He took what he had and he used it for God's ministry. And that's what we all can do, every single one of us, including this guy. But let me pray for you. Father, I just thank you for today, and I thank you that you put the story of the Good Samaritan in the Bible, that we are supposed to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and that we don't walk around with our eyes glued to our phones, and that we don't notice people that are hurting, we don't know people that are sad or stressed out or overworked or underappreciated, and that we know our words can be life to somebody. But we also know that we have to have the right heart. And I just pray, starting with Mr. Dan, that you give us a heart for people, and that you give us a heart for the hurting people that are around us, and that we will pay attention, and that we'll respond with what we have available to us, and that we'll try to do for one that we wish we could do for all, but we'll try to do it for that one. We'll be available to help and to encourage and to walk alongside. And just help everyone in this room to see people like you see them. You want people to come to you and have a relationship with you. And let them realize just the little things that we do will point others to Jesus. And they'll take one step closer. Allow us to realize that. Allow us to realize the impact that we can have on the people around us if we just turn it all over to you and be obedient. We love you. Thank you for these beautiful kids to be in this room. Thank you for the small group of leaders that are dedicated to the cause, the staff members that are in here. Bless them for their work. And let us have a great time in small groups. In your name we pray. Amen.